welcome back to the What the Falk Sunderland review show. Hurrah! Sunderland have won, and it was a wonderful Saturday for everyone on Wearside, thanks to Trey Hume, Dan Neil, and Jacky Clarke. We've won, so of course, there's only two people that could possibly join the show. First up is Ross Black. Ross, how are you doing? You okay?
Aye, brilliant. Good to be back after a win, just don't fancy the defeats anymore, just don't need that negativity in my life. I think that's what it is.
I find like the fact that Dave physically couldn't come on this one almost evidence that I knew we were going to win this weekend. But Brad, how are you doing? You okay?
Not bad, mate. Good to be back on. I'm not like Ross, so I don't just bottle it when we get beat. I have genuine reasons of working and football. And today's just a line. There's no football and there's no work. So, buzzing.
Yeah, we've heard this one before. Ross, I said before, back to winning ways. Look, it was a good day. I think everyone could see me, myself on my timeline. I had a good day. So it was a better weekend when Sunderland win. But a good performance in many ways. Look, not perfect, but very, very good. How are you feeling after the game the morning after?
Yeah, I think it's a game where if we didn't win, I'd come out going like, how on earth had we not won that game with the spells of dominance that we had? I thought the Norwich goal came against a run of play and we lost our way a bit. But once Hume equalised, I thought from there on in we were the better team. If anything, it got a bit too easy and we got a bit complacent, I feel, in parts, which probably could have led to them equalising when they had the chance at the back post. But again, they had that header that hit the post and it woke us back up again, and we started being a bit more attacking rather than a bit more passive in possession. So overall, I thought it was really good, and there was some good performances out there off the bench and the team players who started.
It felt like Cardiff at home, but if we'd scored. It felt like that kind of performance where we were just really dominant, letting a daft go, but we scored enough for it not to matter. But it's a championship, isn't it? But Brad, 3-1 win, really hard to complain. Against the Norwich team that on paper is actually pretty good. Well, I'm sure we'll get into how bad I thought Norwich were later on. But for Sunderland, a really positive Saturday, Brad, I think, eh?
Yeah, I thought we were dominant from minute one, really. And to be honest, when we went a goal down, I had the same sort of feeling as when we went a goal down against QPR. It wasn't really deserved, and I just knew that realistically our players are better and we're going to come back and win. But similar to Ross as well, second half, I think we were a bit complacent, and I was saying to the guys around me, I think we need another goal here, because in any level of football, if you're only one goal up, there's always that chance you're gonna throw it away. But I thought the way that we managed the game after we got the third was really good. We went looking for more, actually, which was quite nice to see. On another day, we might have got 4 or 5, and it would have been great value for it, to be honest. But like you both said, some good performances from those that started and a few lads that came on as well. It's just nice to get back to winning ways and do it in a professional manner, like we did. No drama, really. Yeah, and we just take that in. It's nice to have a week's break now and take it into next week off the back of a comfortable win, I would say.
I think one of the biggest positives that we can take, and look, this is down to our progression and also Norwich's regression, but if you remember last year when we were talking about the best sides we came up against, a lot of people would say Norwich. I think we played really well that day. We hit the bar on that, and we probably should have been in the lead. And it was the day Alex Neil had left, so you had all those kind of things going against us. But you kind of knew Norwich had the sort of quality. You had Cantwell on the bench and Timu Pukki, but the team that day, you could see Norwich. You're like, oh, they should be there or thereabouts to look like a team that's just been relegated from the Premier League. And it looked the other way around yesterday. We looked more like the team that could have potentially been relegated from the Premier League, such as the quality we had and the passes we were pulling off. And I think if we'd won 5-6-1, I don't think many people could have complained. There's 1 or 2 really small negatives, but I just think a really positive Saturday. And I think if you look at, obviously it wasn't nice getting beat down at Stoke, but I thought we should have got something out of that. I think the game against Leicester, I think we deserve something against Leicester as well, to be honest with you. And, the game prior to that, Borra's kind of killed by a red card. And I think it probably shows Sunderland's progression as well, that we've lost 3 games in a row. And I don't really feel like the fan base has panicked too much. Like, I was probably the most panicked out of everyone, thinking like yesterday was a must win, or is it a must win, or even raising the question. You could say it was panic, but I feel like the majority of the fan base responded to that question on Twitter and was like, "Don't be daft, man." And historically, that's not been Sunderland when we've lost 3 games in a row. And I think it just shows that we knew the performances were sort of halfway there with a couple of things missing. And yesterday, a lot of things came to fruition. But one player that just turns in performance after performance, week after week, Ross, I don't really know what to say about him. Jack Clarke, outstanding again. My biggest concern with Jack Clarke at the minute is not about whether he goes down the wing or whether he cuts inside or if he's going to score enough goals. It's how hard is it going to be to hold on to him in January?
It's going to be a challenge, but that shows how well we're doing for individuals and as a team when our players are wanted. It means they're doing brilliant stuff. And again, yes, down Stoke, I didn't think he had his best game, still scored. Probably should have scored down Leicester. I think if we're being a bit harsh, he probably should have done a bit better. Good save, though. And then yesterday, they couldn't get near him. What was really evident was how many, when he got the ball, how many Norwich players just gravitate over there. There was at least 3 players on him at every opportunity they had. And then his assist for Neil's goal it's superb. It's unbelievable. And I was speaking in the pub beforehand, and I was speaking to a few of the lads I go to matches with, and there's a few of the older generation, and Stevie, who I was with, he's like a modern day Chris Waddle, and I think that's a great compliment to have when you're getting you're getting compared to Chris Waddle, and he's added goals to his game. He was so unlucky with that one where he cut inside and hit the post as well. And I just feel like overall he's quality, isn't he? We talk about him so much on this podcast about how good he is, but we need to keep talking about him because he deserves the praise. Like, he's matched his goal tally from last season already. Okay, he's taking the penalties, but he's winning the penalties as well. So he's got every right to go take them. Yeah, superb. January, well, to me, just let's not think about that. Let's just wait and let's just enjoy him while we have him, because that's the one thing everyone's saying, that, oh yeah, if we don't go up this year, it's not the end of the world. But if we don't go up this year, we will lose Jack Clarke in the summer, no matter what.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, to be honest with you. I think one thing I really like about Jack Clarke, and it's more of a personality thing, I don't really think he lets the transfer talk around him on the fact that obviously he has, in my opinion, an agent that just seems to enjoy unsettling his own players and being a bit unprofessional online. That's just my opinion. I don't know if people agree, but I'm not a huge fan of him, to be honest, because of the things he said online. But I don't think Jack Clarke lets it bother him too much. I think the one time I've seen him get overly animated was when he scored against Southampton, and it felt like that was him going, I'm quite happy here. Like, don't sweat. Like, I've said nothing. Like, I'm scoring. I've just banged in the first minute. And I think he lets his football do the talking. And I think he did a great interview in a newspaper that I will not mention earlier in the week. Someone sent me the quote from it, and he's talking about how Tony Mowbray is the best manager he's worked under for him. And I think if you got to look through the managers he's worked under, Mourinho, Bielsa, I think that's really high praise for Mowbray, but it also shows exactly what Jack Clarke thinks of him. So hopefully he thinks about Tony Mowbray all the way up until May, and then we get promoted, and then everything's fine. Jack Clarke's Sunderland play forever. But honestly, outstanding performance. Thought he was brilliant. Brad, I want to bring a different player on here at the moment, and we'll talk about the players that impressed us the most. But Patrick Roberts is coming for a fair bit of stick, and I think in some ways, it depends how you look at it, it's balanced. He can beat 4 or 5 players, and then he can't seem to get an assist. He can't seem to get a goal. But then you could also say, well, he hasn't really had a striker playing alongside him for a while. He got an assist yesterday, and I thought he was really good. Thoughts on Patrick Roberts' performance yesterday?
Just what we came to expect from Patrick Roberts this season. Yeah, he is magic. Look, when the ball's at his feet, it's mesmerising sometimes. But it's no good doing it with no end product. And it is good now with that monkey's off his back, where people are saying no goals, no assists. He's got one now. He's got that assist now. Hopefully he can start adding some goals. He said it himself after the Leicester game in his post-match. He knows himself he needs to start adding to it. He's just one player. I think he's like a luxury sometimes. It's even though he's not producing the final balls, you sort of don't want to take him out the team. I don't think you can really justify it because he's that good when he has got the ball and he is on song, and you're thinking something's going to come, something's coming. Look, me and you love Patrick Roberts. We have done for all of last season, end of the League One campaign. it's a funny one because you do expect more from him in the final third, and we're not seeing it. But everything up until then is fantastic to watch. I do think, in a way, though, he misses Ahmad because them two play them little intricate 1-2s in and around people, and they just make like I used the analogy last year. It's like a couple of year 11s playing against year 6s at school. They just took the mick. I think he does miss Ahmad, and look, I'm not saying it'll happen, but if we get him back in January, we'll see the best of Patrick Roberts. We know for a fact. But yeah, I mean, I keep persevering. He's got his assist now, and usually they say if you get one, a boatload starts coming in. And I think with a different type of striker that we're playing up front now, it might start suiting him a little bit more. So we'll just see. But I love Patrick Roberts. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, I love Paddy as well. I think the one thing I would say about yesterday was that I'm not criticising Burstow or Hamir, but Rusyn's obviously very different. And I think, I feel like we mention him every week, but like I have to at this point. One thing Ross Stewart was good at was running in the channels, and we sort of missed that a little bit. And I think when you got players that can run the channels, it opens a bit of like an extra 10, 15 yards for the likes of Robertson and Jack Clarke. And I think it's no coincidence that we'll get into Rusyn's performance, but I thought Rusyn run the channels better than Burstow and Hamir do, different player. And I think that opened an extra 10, 15 yards of space for the likes of Jack Clarke and Robertson. I think it was no coincidence that they both sort of had goal contributions yesterday. But yeah, look, I like Roberts. I'd be really sad if he left. I hope his contract gets sorted, and I think that'll settle his head a little bit. But Ross, there was tons of good performances yesterday. I picked out Trey Hume. I thought was really good. I think Daniel was excellent, and we've talked about Jack Clarke, but there's a few players you could mention. Who was your standout? Your top three?
Yeah, Trey Hume and Clarke. Yeah, Neil, like you say, that them three were all brilliant. But I actually thought that it went a bit under the radar. But I thought that O'Nien and Ballard were brilliant because, okay, the goal conceded was a bit of a mess, but there's mitigating circumstances to that. Basically, we didn't ladle the whistle, and the linesman went to put his flag up, then didn't put his flag up. And after all of it, we've seen the clip. He wasn't even offside anyways, so it was a mess all around, basically. But yeah, I thought O'Nien brought the ball out really well, and Ballard, it was clear instruction that they were told get higher up the pitch with the ball. It did leave us a few scary moments when they lost it, but that was a clear instruction, and when it worked, it was brilliant. I think the only thing we need to work on is clearly when they go out, Ekwa or Neil, whoever's the deep lying midfielder, needs to sit in because it got a bit scary when they counted us. But we did really well to block it off. Plus, they were pretty pony, I think.
That header at the back post was from Ballard, ending up in their half, and they broke on us, and that's when their header came and very nearly cost us because Ballard was thinking he was prime Ross Stewart.
Did quite well, to be fair.
It's all right going forward, but I think it's just releasing it in the right time. I think he got a bit excited too many times when he skinned past two. He's like, I can take on the rest of them now. But if he just passed the ball to Clarke, you'll be all right. But I thought, like, to me though as well, what baffled me was their best player by threat that I've seen was that Rowe on the wing, and then they took him off, and I was like, oh, that's brilliant. Because they didn't really have much after that. Because he was lightning quick, he was strong, he was giving Hume a good battle in the first half. And but yeah, Huggins again, he just goes about his business, doesn't he? He's like a 6 or 7 out of 10 every week. He's nothing special, but he just gets his job done. And it will be interesting to see what happens with certain combat to fitness, who gets in there. But I overall, I think, like you say, there's a good few performances in there, and I think having two centre midfielders in Ekwa and Neil makes a massive difference, doesn't it? Just for the core of the squad, the spine, and how we like to play. It gives freedom to the others.
I agree with you on Huggins. Talking about an agent previously, and that made a comment which I think was massively unfair, but it's no slight on Niall Huggins. I think we've spoken for about 2 years about Huggins while he's had the injuries and said, look, he looked like the kind of player that can really add to the squad when he's in and he's fit, and obviously he's getting that run of games. He doesn't look like he needs a rest or anything like that. He can fit in on the left. I think he's better on the right, personally, because he's right-footed. Hence the argument of I would play Dennis Cirkin on the left-hand side because he's got left foot and he's he's just slightly better. But having the options is brilliant, and I think Huggins is really. I think it would be very harsh for Huggins to be dropped either at right back or left back at the moment because of the performances he's put in. But what a great option to have. Oh no, who do we play? Like the former Leeds Academy graduate who was there when Leeds win the Premier League and has really shown up, or the former Spurs Academy product who's got a buyback clause or had a buyback clause of £6 million because of his potential. Or what about the guy from West Ham that we got that was really good, like Alessi, who's still come back? Like, it's nice to have options in the fullback positions. It's not something I'm going to complain about. I don't think anyone's clueless for thinking Serkin's better than Huggins or Huggins is better than Serkin. My opinion is Serkin's slightly better, but I think Huggins has been excellent.
It's not the fact that Serkin's better. If that agent had listened to what Benno and Barnsley were saying, playing Serkin, who was left-footed on the left-hand side, brings you more balance. If he wants his player to compete and get in the start, then he should be trying to take Try Hume's place on the right-hand side in his natural right-back position, where they can both bomb on, and it gives you that balance. I just think he's got his hinted specs on. He should even know that, being a former left-back as well. Exactly what a left-back can bring, but let's ignore him. I think he's just looking for bites, I think, and I think he's just very unprofessional.
Yeah, I agree. I really thought it was a really unprofessional comment. I don't want to get bogged down in it too much, but like, for me, look, I like Huggins, I like Serkin, but you know what I like more than both? Sunderland Football Club, Association Football Club even, sorry. That's one of my pet hates. I know, shocker. Cancelled. But I think, for me, I don't care who plays as long as they play well. I think Serkin's probably a slightly better player, but do I trust both of them at left back? Yeah, absolutely. And that's brilliant for Sunderland Association Football Club. Got it right that time. I'll leave it at that. But one player I did really want to pick out here, Ross, and I'm going to come to you with it because I know you're a big fan. There's actually two players I want to pick out here. I think the starting 11 played really well. There was one that wasn't firing on all cylinders, which we're going to come on to in the listeners' questions a bit later on, but I thought Riggy and Hamir played really well when they came on. I thought Riggy in particular, like, the best thing about Chris Rigg is he looks 16. So like when he comes on and he's just spinning plays, it looks funny because it's like a kid coming on just like doing experienced players like Johnny House in the middle. But I thought Hamir did all right as well, but I thought Riggy was exceptional when he came on.
Yeah, Chris Rigg was brilliant against Leicester as well when he came on, I thought. I know we're going to get on to the player who we thought maybe wasn't brilliant, but to me, if we started Chris Rigg in a championship match, I'd be totally fine with it, which is the biggest compliment you can give the lad. He doesn't look out of place. Every time he comes on, he makes an impact. And I think you can't ask for much more than that. He's clearly got the trust of Mowbray because the game was 2-1 when he came on. It was in the balance and he was like, right, you're going to go play centre midfield for me. Was it 2-1? I think it was 2-1. So he was brilliant. That one where he sent the play for a hot dog was tremendous. Bit of individual skill, but also he drives with the ball really well. Like he's not quick, but he glides. And he was very unlucky not to get an assist when he played Pritchard in. And then I think when the Hamir chance came about, which you mentioned before, which was created by Barr, I actually think Rigg was in a better position for the pullback, if we're being slightly critical. But he like you say, he for a little lad as well, he always seems to win tackles. Like he's very diminutive, how he just seems to be there in the right place at the right time and get a foot in. But you know what I mean? He's 16-year-old and he captains England under 18, so it tells you everything you need to know about how rated he is and how he plays above his age and his ceiling. But 100%, you can't ask for much more when players are getting the opportunities for 15, 20 minutes, make an impact. And we're talking about him now because he clearly didn't. He left an impression on everyone there. And to me, he's one that I think we'll be seeing start championship games sooner rather than later.
Brad, I'll leave the Hamir question to you. I thought he did all right when he came on. I know not everyone will agree with that, but I thought he did all right. He snatched at his chance a little bit, but what is he, 18? I think with a young, and I know we'll repeat this, and I know I've kind of said I prefer experience sometimes, and I would like some experienced players in there to teach these young lads a little bit, but that's not going to happen. So I think Hamir is growing with each performance he's coming on. I thought yesterday he looked pretty handy. What was your thoughts?
He did okay. I'll put it as that. I think he done okay, but it's the same story. It's when a striker isn't scoring goals and they're getting these chances, it seems like everyone's laser focused on them. Like that header was quite difficult. Bless him. It was like straight back at him and he's headed it. He's done everything right and the lads cleared it. But a striker in a bit of form who's scored. If he's scored 3 or 4 goals before, we don't talk about him because his performances are okay. But he needs that goal. And I mean, he wasn't going to get it against Leicester. The poor kid only got 90 seconds. But he got a good 20 odd minutes yesterday when we were completely on top, and he's had 2 very good chances. You look back at the Southampton game, he came on at 4-0 and he's went through on goal and he's just hit straight at the keeper. He will score, and I think it'll be fantastic when he does, and I hope it's at the stage of my life because you can see the fans and the players are all behind him to try and get that goal. But at the minute, I'm going to go back to something you've just said. I'm there for Sunderland Association Football Club, and if he's not ready and he's not firing and there's someone else who's waiting to do it, I'd rather see them and bide our time with him here. And if that means even sending him on loan somewhere to try and get some more minutes, so be it. But he done okay. He done fine. I'm looking forward. I think the one I'm looking at, his game time's going to be more limited because by the sounds of it, Mowbray really rates his my ender when he comes in, and he's pretty much ready now. I think he just needs a couple of 21s appearances, and then we might start seeing him. So if he comes in and starts scoring, that knocks Hemia down to maybe he's 4th in the pecking order. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, Hemia, he done fine, and we know there's something capable in there because he scored in pre-season quite a few times. But I think to see the best out of Hemia, we need him on with Pritchard because Pritchard does put them on a plate for a striker. We've seen that time and time again. And that's where the majority of his goals came in pre-season, was from balls in the box. Pritchard with a couple of the assists. But yeah, time will tell. He's done okay.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right. I think he'll come into it. I think it's just a case of if you had an 18-year-old striker playing every week, if he wasn't like our only striker for a period of time, we probably would have be able to be a lot more patient with him. And I think we will be. I think we will be. And I hope that he scores fairly soon because I don't want to go too long without one.
Yeah, I think what's actually hindered him, and it sounds daft because we had no choice but to play him, was him being the only striker fit to start the season and being flogged really. If he was managed the right way, if we had a couple of strikers in there where he could have came on for the last 20 minutes, we wouldn't be having these discussions. We're like, right, he's getting bedded in. But the fact he was basically given the number 9 shirt and starting the season, I think a lot of hype and expectation was around him, ourselves included. We put him down as the one that we'd expect to be the signing of the summer, I think. And shows how much we know, really, doesn't it? But yeah, he is a young boy. He's still got a lot to learn. It's a new language, new culture for him. He will get there, but I think it's just going to take a bit of time.
A couple of quick fire ones before going to the listeners' questions because we're running out of time a little bit. But Ross, first goal didn't look offside at first glance. Everyone's going mad about it. Watching it back, it's quite clear he's onside. Poor from Sunderland that we kind of just stopped playing if we're going to pick out a negative.
Yeah, it was just a comedy of errors, wasn't it? Like Hume in the first place playing him onside. We should never be playing him onside when everyone else has stepped up. That's poor from Hume. The linesman then goes to put his flag up. The kid's still he doesn't go fully towards it, but he makes a motion to go near it. So then Ekwa puts in the most pathetic tackle ever. Like, if you're going to make the tackle, do it properly. Play at the whistle. And then we all the 3 defenders in the box just go to the 6-yard box and just leave the lad on the edge. It's a good finish, but it was just so poor. And we need to stop going 1-0 down, basically.
I think so.
Yep.
And a really, really quick one for Brad before we're going to read his questions. Despite the fact that decision was actually correct, we did win 3-1, but referees, linesmen, officials, absolutely crap again, Brad. Yes?
Yeah. Not going to argue with that one, to be honest. I mean, who did he actually caution? Because Ballard's technically now suspended, but everyone on the ground thought it was Ekwa. So when I seen on a betting app that it was Ballard who was given to, I was convinced it was Ekwa. So I thought, right, I'll stick a tenner on it. That's 7-1 for Ekwa to get a card. And that hasn't been. So long story short, I've lost a tenner. But yeah, the referees would. I'm sick and tired of talking about them. I'm happy to touch on them because it shows it's not sour grapes when we lose. But the standard officiating across the board is appalling, and I'll keep calling it out.
It's horrendous. I'm just tired of it. Like, I mean, I don't want to talk about any of the team's games yesterday, but you go to the Premier League yesterday and there's a penalty given yesterday, and people will say, "Oh, it's because it was your rivals," but that's never a penalty, and everyone said it. It's consistent bad. Yeah.
Did you see who was on VAR?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Middlesbrough FC.
Yes.
Did you also see the penalty that Plymouth didn't get at Ipswich away?
Yes.
That's assault. And like everyone in the ground knows it's a penalty. Even the player who makes a tackle hits the ground after to say like, "Oh no, I've messed up here," and the referee's just like, "Play on." They just make it up as they go along. I'm convinced.
Yeah, it's just not great.
Talking that one about the Mags as well, when there was a potential handball for Bruno, and they said it hasn't touched him, but then they still give a corner. I'm like, if it hasn't hit him, it's not a corner. It's honestly, they might as well just pick them out of the crowd or like a prize out of a Kellogg's box.
I thought I don't want to touch on it too much, but look, we have to call things out when we win and when we lose and when we draw. If that's what we think, we are quite steadfast referees. But I think, I know we're here to talk about the Sunderland game, but I think Gary O'Neill summed up refereeing across the British game in general, across all levels, when he said, when they improve their level, then I'll start speaking to them again. And I think I'll leave it at that. Listeners' questions, Owen said readers' questions. That's no one reads this, as far as I'm aware. But a few decent ones, a few talking points, which I've sort of held back on a little bit. You can probably tell, so we can keep the questions coming in. But first one to you, Ross. Job works hard, physically ahead of his years, but he looks for the easy option. He doesn't yet have what Pritchard or Dak can do with the killer passing creativity, which would create opportunities for our strikers. And then somebody else asked, is it maybe time to give Job a rest?
Yeah, I think Job looked tired yesterday for the first time. He makes some great runs when he's playing in the 10. He puts himself about some brilliant bits of skill. But yeah, I think he looks tired. And you've got to remember, he's an 18-year-old kid. This is probably the most games he's played consecutively. He's also been, in the international breaks, been playing 2 games for England under 20s, I think it is. So, yeah, I think we've got to be careful about, he's a great young talent, but also let's not kill him. You know what I mean? Like, it's a long season. You're going to need him. And I think we did this in League One, if I remember correctly, with Serkin, where he just looked absolutely wrecked after starting really well, because it's his first season in men's game, playing consecutive games. I just think we need to be careful with Job. We know he's a brilliant player. We know he's got brilliant talent. The thing about not making the killer pass, I think, is a bit unfair, because you look at the goals and he's scored this season. He created Clarke's goal at Stoke, basically by having the shot saved. So I think he adds a new dimension to us. But yeah, I think he might be ready for a break, because I do think that he's maybe starting to show a bit of fatigue.
I rate Job really highly, and I think there's a few people in the crowd getting annoyed at him yesterday because he was really poor. But look, I'm going to reiterate, this kid's just turned 18. You can already see the talent that he has. I heard one comment saying, "Stop doing the flicks and that, man. You're not your brother." No, keep doing them. Keep doing the stuff that you're good at. Keep trying new things, because you maybe not be your brother, but we're talking about the best player in the world as his brother, and that's fine for him not to be the best player in the world at the moment. I think for us, he's going to be very good. I think we've already seen he's played 11 games in 12 that have been good. That's the first really, really poor performance I've seen from him. He's a kid. He's going to learn. For me, when he's fit, firing, and not knackered, which he potentially is, he's one of our first names on the team sheet, and I think that's a massive compliment to him. Worst case scenario, we can bring in the 16-year-old wonder kid underneath him, so I'm sure we'll cope. But Brad, next question to you. We haven't really touched on him yet, and we probably should. We touched on him a little bit, but Rusyn, what did you make of Rusyn's performance? That's a couple of questions around Rusyn, shall we say? I'll just combine them into one and we'll say, what did you think?
I thought he was actually quite good for his first start. I've seen him for the 21s a couple of times, and he just looked quick. He ran the channels quite well. And just when the game was starting to falter a little bit, just towards the end of the first half, that tackle where he ran basically the width of the pitch, closed their lad down, and has got the crowd going again. So he's You can see he's got a bit of heart about him. And I mean, we could have been talking about one of the greatest assists we've seen at the Statesman Light in a long time if Jack Clarke had put the header away, because Rooson's won the ball back. He's beat two men for like blistering pace, put a great ball in. So yeah, I mean, that's the play I was talking about when I said about we might see a bit better out of Roberts, because he's going to start creating the chances. He's going to start creating the space, by making these runs, because defenders won't know what to do. I think Mowbray got a spot on by not starting with Burst or Hemir, because they've got two big lumps at the back, and they would have probably got bullied. Two big experienced pros. So let's mix it up a bit, go with a bit of pace. It's a bit of an unknown. And I was very impressed, and it was great for him to get 60, 65 minutes into him. I think he'll be back in the team against Swansea. And look, with Root, the difference about Roos, and he's not a young boy learning his trade. He's a 24, 25-year-old, so he's a man. He's got a bit of experience at a decent level behind him, not just Bairns football. So it's not as if we're coaching him the game, we're just coaching him how to play within our team. He's got all the attributes, because we wouldn't have paid a fee for him if we didn't think there was something there and he could fit in. So on first impressions, when he came off the bench, I've been very impressed. But yesterday I thought it was a very good debut. Well, first start really, isn't it? You class it as a full debut. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him, and I think it won't be too long until we see a goal, and it'll kick him on.
Yeah, me too. I think he's decent. I thought the header he went for yesterday was really brave that the referee gave a free kick for, because apparently the very small, nimble Ukrainian boy can apparently knock out the muscle-bound Shane Duffy that can't actually run because he's so huge. Mind if I'm a Norwich fan and I'm watching Shane Duffy's performance yesterday, crikey Moses. Anyway, another question. We've got a couple more. We've got a little bit of time left, so we'll keep it nice, short and snappy. One from Andy, which I really like. Not a question, Ross, but how good is Dan Neil?
Quality, and I think playing him further forward has brought the best out of him. He's a goal threat now, which is something he needed out of his game, and it was a brilliant finish. I thought it really was. Sometimes I think he maybe held on the ball a bit too much at times in the first half, and if he could just pass it a bit, like the one-touch passing with bounce passes, make it a bit quicker, we can get the ball moving, and especially in the transition, I think like he can slow the play up at times but to me, he's better when he doesn't have time to think. So he just moved that ball so much quicker. But yeah, I thought we were really impressed with him, and we missed him, didn't we, when he was suspended, let's be honest.
I think what I like about Dan Neil, Ross, when you say he slows it a bit, him and Ekwa complement each other, because when Ekwa gets on the ball, he either goes for the big switch, or if you see he breaks the lines, how quickly he puts the ball in behind, straight into Job's feet, or it was Rooson's feet a couple of times. So I think it's very good to have a bit of both from them too. They complement each other really well. And to be fair, if they're both fit, they both play, don't they? Like, that's our midfield really.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you. I think it was more a case of when we had like a quick break on, and he had the chance to pass it out wide to Clarke or Roberts a bit quicker, and then by just delaying it, by taking the extra touch, it lets the defence set, which makes it harder for Roberts and Clarke getting behind, because they normally double on them. It's very minute, but it's just little details like that. Then when we got the ball to Clarke first time, in the movie we did, he hit the post. So like just little things like that. And like I say, I know we're going off a bit, but I think him playing more advanced as well maybe negates the fact that Job needs to be so high. So it might be better for Job to sit a bit deeper at times, because he can have more time and space on the ball, which I think suits Job better than Neil, if that makes sense. So I do think it's good that we've got these options, though. And as you say, Ekwa can just sit in that deep position, which, to be fair, he's made his own, because after the first game of the season, Ipswich was saying, why is Neil and Ekwa swap positions? But you can see now why, because, like you say, they complement each other so well. And Ekwa gets so much space on the edge of the box that he will score about 20 goals from long range in his career, because he's got a foot like a traction engine. Pretty brilliant.
Does love him. Quick questions with borderline one-word answers, borderline here. Brad, I'll come to you first. So there's rumours that the old ship badge might come back next season. I don't know how true it is. Would you want the old ship badge, or are you happy sticking with the one at the minute? Someone's asked the question. I think it's decent enough.
No, I'm happy sticking with the badge that we've got, but change the kit supplier. That'd be fine.
I'm the other way around. I like Nike, but I'm one of few. Ross, same question to you.
Yeah, I like retro stuff. Mix it up. Have one with the old badge, one with the new badge. Sell more shirts, more money.
Yep, happy with that. We don't know if he's suspended yet. Dan Ballard, if he is, who comes in from next week, Brad, if he's suspended?
Straightforward. Jensen Steele, isn't it?
Yeah,
Gotta be.
I'd agree with that. Ross?
Yeah, sealed. So he's brought in for.
Signed, sealed, delivered. It will be Jensen next week if he's suspended. And last but not least, well, we've got a couple of seconds left. Swansea away, Birmingham at home, Plymouth away, Huddersfield at home to come. Points total, Brad?
10.
Ross?
9.
9. Yeah, I'll go with 9. Thanks everyone for joining this week. Nice to be back on the back of a win. We're happy, we're excited. It's always a better listen and always a better job to do, I think, when we do win. Thanks as always for tuning in. Subscribe if you want. It's completely fine if you don't. I would if I was you. But if you don't want to, it's fine. Cheers.
Yep.
Arrivederci.
There we go.
I'll be back next week, depending if we win or lose. I'm only joking. I'm back at work. So it depends when you want to record.
We'll probably lose then. Right. Thanks, lads. Appreciate it.